Alright, sorry for the delay. So today I want to see if I can successfully preserve cheese in various substances. Yeah, the delay, I needed to get my hydrochloric acid, um, which is, I want to see if I can preserve it in silica, if that'll work, but we'll get to that in a bit. Alright, so first up, I want to see. Maybe I'll try this Mod Podge stuff first. Got some paint brushes. Let me see if any of these might work. I just realized I should probably have my lab coat on. Oh well, of course I would forget something. The hydrochloric acid I'm working with, so I want to work with sodium silicate and hydrochloric acid in a bit. I mean, I guess maybe I could just take a pause and go grab it, maybe. So here is the Mod Podge. Let me just pull this over so I can pull off the foil. This is looking awfully white. Ideally, I would get a nice clear coat on it. Granted, maybe it'll dry clear. This stuff actually was recommended by uh, a coworker. So, and I believe she understands what I want to do. I mean, as much as somebody can, I suppose. Oh, is it frozen? Hold on. Video capture, deactivate, activate. Okay, there we go. It keeps freezing. Should I maybe just turn off YouTube Studio? Could. Let me see if I can do that. All right. Again, it's still freezing? Let me keep trying some. I know this thing could just be a giant fiasco. I mean, nothing. It's possible that none of these preservation methods will work. I think this stuff might kind of be effectively be glue. I have cheese on my hand. Let me put some gloves on. For that matter, let me start VTube Studio up again. I think the issue I was having was maybe there was motion near the camera. Alright, got one glove on. Let me turn the camera on. I couldn't get I couldn't get both, what is it? I was trying to hook two cameras into my laptop. Uh, and maybe it was because they were the same model that I couldn't get them both to work at the same time. And the capture is failing again. It seems fine as long as I don't get too close to the camera. Let me try this other brush. Or I don't know if it's a brush so much as a sponge. It's one of these things. I don't know how long of a stream this is going to be. But hey, maybe I'll start a new tradition with this. It'd be funny if people just started passing out fees to people they knew. Get the feeling maybe I should have started with the paint, so I also have some clear paint. I'm trying to get it so I can actually see the cheese and have the camera somewhat on me at the same time. So I say maybe I should start with the paint first because this seems rather messy. And I have some water here, but I don't know how well this is going to come off necessarily. This smells like glue. You know what? Let me just grab a different brush. We can use that for the paint. By the way, as far as the chat goes, I tried to get this stupid thing to be clear, but I copied this over from my desktop computer, and for whatever reason, the transparency isn't working. And of course, the website that I used to generate the code, it gave me a 404, because why would I expect anything else? Also, you can see over to the side a bunch of other experimental stuff. Where did the lid to this go? Oh, here it is. Should probably keep this on. I just split some of the cheese. Whatever. I sometimes refer to myself as the resident mad scientist, and I wouldn't be shocked if you could see why. This isn't just OBS disconnected. The stream seems fine. Have you ever seen that episode of Invader Zim where they pass out meat? Miss Bitters, I heard that long ago people gave out cards and candy. How did this whole meat thing get started? This this should in theory be clear, so maybe it just draws clear. I should probably, before this stuff dries, put this in water. I think there's a good chance these paintbrushes are going to wind up ruined. At least this is a unique stream, relatively speaking. I don't know how many other people would think to try this. And actually, speaking of unique things, I don't think I've mentioned this on Twitter, but I actually recently purchased a game that is so obscure that I don't actually see anything in terms of gameplay footage on YouTube. I mean, it is Japanese exclusive, so maybe that has something to do with it since I'm on English YouTube. But hopefully one day I could do a stream on it. It's, um, just to describe it, it is exclusive. It is a Japanese Club Nintendo exclusive DS game. So I can't actually give you the title, but I can describe it. Much of the controls are that you shout commands basically, into the microphone to say, I think you, for example, punch and kick doing that. It's Sentai, I think, so Power Ranger-esque. The only reason I even know about it is because I had seen it in this article in Nintendo Power way back in the day. I honestly don't know how this is going to go. I mean, I'm getting a good code on this stuff, but the way it looks now does not fill me with confidence. Then again, I still have another option besides these two. I don't know how likely it is that I'm going to succeed. The idea is that I coat the cheese with sodium silicate, and then I put it in hydrochloric acid. So originally, I was thinking of covering it with sodium silicate and putting it in a solution of basically acidic alcohol. But I think that could potentially create peroxides, which, depending on what kind of peroxide it is and how concentrated it could be, that could be extremely dangerous. That is to say, explosive. I don't think the water did much of anything. I guess it made it thinner. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, or if it necessarily even matters. Maybe it'll make it more evenly spread out. Wait, when did my camera freeze? Sorry, I hadn't noticed that. But again, I think it's when I get too close. When I get too close to the camera. So it's on my left side. I'll just have to make sure I pay attention to that. Hopefully I'm not being too soft-spoken. I do tend to be a rather soft-spoken individual. This might not be the most, I guess, exciting of things, but I feel like this stream, at least, the draw would be more the novelty and the oddity of it. What are the odds these stupid things just wind up sticking to the wax paper here? As far as the whole silica thing goes, so that's actually something I was already experimenting with. And I recently bought um, uh, some a horsetail plant because apparently those have a lot of silica in them. So I'm hoping it can break down the silica nanoparticles I have. It's possible, so it's possible that it'll dry with all these streaks. I mean, I guess this is fine for a prototype, if you will. I could probably still give these out to my coworkers and maybe improve upon it next year or something. The original plan was to use resin, but I got scared about using fumes, or I was scared about fumes using it. Oh, hello. I have a chatter. How are you? Yeah, this is a novelty, isn't it? Again, I don't know how successful this ultimately will be, but I can give it a shot. And maybe one day this could be a tradition amongst weirdos like me. Okay, good, it's still going. I kind of think I might do more of this stuff off stream because I don't know if this is going to dry and I only have so much room. Now, if I could find this seam on this stupid cheese wrapper. By the way, I mean, I described, so this stuff is Mod Podge. Do you know, let me just turn this, and then you can't really, let me see if I can get this a little closer so people can see it. That other one is just uh, gallery glass clear paint. One moment. Is it when I touch? I think it might be when I touch the camera cord. I think that might be what's causing it to go on the fritz. The camera was bought secondhand. I'm not a painter in case you can't tell. Of course, I think this right here, what I'm using is more glue than paint. I broke the cheese a little bit. That's okay though. Maybe it'll add a little personality to whomever receives it. I don't know if they'd actually be able to see the crack. Now the real interesting part is going to be the silica. That's more, I guess, scientific and experimental. And that stuff is going to have to go overnight. I'm not sure if did I finish explaining? I didn't. So I said I didn't want to use acidic alcohol because I was afraid of peroxides forming. Um, so what I plan on using instead is originally the idea was to use something that the sodium silicate was not soluble in, so it wouldn't spread out in solution. Actually, let me see if I can. My power saver came on, so let me see if I can go grab my computer plug before the stream conks out. I need to get my gloves off first. Shot, maybe just one. I should be back in a moment. Sorry for the delay. One moment. Hang on. Yeah, this. I think there's something wrong with the camera cord. Guess this is what I get for buying secondhand. Now, ordinarily, you aren't supposed to put gloves back on, at least in the laboratory. So I work as a biologist, and I guess I would probably be considered a microbiologist right now. Granted, my specialty, I'd say, is more on the small scale molecular side of things. Granted, I guess microbiology is still within the realm of small scale. It might be a little bit odd, but I'd say I'm still struggling to get my gloves on. Uh, I actually am not as comfortable with organismal stuff. All right, another slice. I have to try and remember to plug that TV back in. Also, it's not in view, but let me just show you. I think it is this container. So there's this container of cheese, which I tried, if I can get a good angle. I tried coating it with nail polish, clear nail polish. Um, and so far, I guess it looks like it's working okay. The problem is it produces a lot of fumes. Now, a concern I do have with this project is the possibility of the existing bacteria um, being trapped in the within the coating and causing it to rot. But I do have a possible solution to that. Although, come to think of it, that's probably less of a problem for the silica, given so first off, so sodium silicate is basic, so that there's a good chance that would kill off microbes. And then I also plan on adding hydrochloric acid. So I think there's a possibility of that wide pH range uh, killing off a lot of microbes. Kind of kneeling on the floor here, so it's hard to get comfortable. I feel like the paint is probably working better than the Mod Podge. Actually, speaking of which, let me put this back over in here. Another slice of cheese. Maybe I'll do one more slice of the paint, and then maybe I'll try out the silica preservation method. Now the question is, could this dumb experiment win me the Ig Nobel Prize? That's actually a thing, by the way. For example, I think somebody won it for levitating a frog or something with a superconducting magnet. I couldn't actually win the Ig Nobel Prize with this, by the way, in case you were wondering. I suppose this does kind of capture the spirit, though. I'll tell you what, though, I'm going to drive my mother up a wall with all my experimental stuff, slowly turning her house into a lab. But hey, at least I'm not doing drugs. Not that I, need them. By the way, in the thumbnail, I hope it's apparent that those cheese stacks are supposed to be in the shape of hearts. I've also considered trying to make chocolate cheese. So this stuff is store-bought, but who knows, maybe next year I could potentially do a stream or something where I make cheese using chocolate milk. I was kind of inspired, I guess, by um so I not so much nowadays, I guess, but I up until relatively recently drank a lot of chocolate milk, and it has gone bad so I suggested I was making cheese. Um let's see. So maybe in about a year from now I could do a stream with that and then coat that in whatever preservative and pass that out to my coworkers. That way it'll be cheese and chocolate. I guess I got some chocolates for my coworkers as well at my mother's behest. She is not thrilled that I'm doing this. I can only assume it's because she hates fun and happiness, as I said on Twitter. Where did the cactus go? Where? Oh, there it is. So I think I might leave that stuff for the time being. The question is, can I get this? Can I get the paint off of this? Or do I need another brush? My camera is on a paper towel. I might be able to use this. Let me see. Let me see what brushes I have left. There's one that's well, it's was hard initially, but I guess this might work. And so I have this cement sealer, sodium silicate, water glass. And I think I'm just going to pour it off screen. What's this? I think there's a song, Red Solo Cup, I Fill You Up. Red Solo Cup, I Fill You Up. Isn't it something like that? You see it in there? That sodium silicate. I have another cup of this stuff that I let dry out. Need another piece of cheese. And it formed this translucent, I guess, foggy, hard substance. I think maybe I could get a trend going with VTubers doing this. Nothing else, it's an interesting idea. Let me see if I can get this one closer. Maybe I'll just move stuff up there after I'm done. Something tells me this is not what the manufacturers had in mind. So from here on out, I should probably be careful because this stuff is basic. Not to mention it is a chemical. Granted, technically what isn't? There is a sign in my office that says no chemicals. So sometimes I just see that and think that we should just clear everybody out, turn the room into a giant vacuum, because air and I mean everything is made of chemicals, technically speaking. So the safety person at my job wanted me to go for the resin stuff over the sodium silicate, over concerns essentially in regards to, I guess, glass breaking. Let me just get a couple more slices ready. If I could find the seam. I was also considering using a needleless syringe to inject solutions into the plastic that it's already in, but I don't think there's enough space to realistically do that. I mean, maybe if you used a needle or something. I think I have a little bit of cheese or something on my laptop now. So the idea I have with the sodium silicate, so the reason I'm adding the hydrochloric acid is that adding acid to it, the sodium silicate will absorb the hydrogens, turning it into silicic acid. And silicic acid uh, will polymerize, so it'll make bonds with itself, forming silica. Um, and this occurs at least at room temperature. But it's cold water that this sodium silicate is insoluble in. So I'm not entirely sure. I assume that this process, it'll still form bonds at cold temperatures. So I plan on putting this out in the garage, where it's below freezing right now, I think. I just imagine that the reaction will go rather slowly. Then again, there's not much on here. But this is an interesting experiment, I suppose, if nothing else. But it does have to be cold. The water has to be cold, or I guess technically the hydrochloric acid solution, in order for it to not dissolve. I think what the web page said was it might be slightly soluble uh, in cold water. It said something around maybe little to no solubility. Let me see if I can get another cheese. I think I could do up to maybe 4 of these silica cheeses. Feeling a little warm. I'm doing all this stretching and moving around. Perhaps I shouldn't have been wearing 3 layers. I'm actually known at work for wearing a ton of layers year round. Lately, I've been wearing up to 4, which includes a winter jacket. Let's try not to get sodium silicate on my mother's table. Let's see, what was I going to... I was going to say something about my sodium silicate project I worked on before. Oh yeah, so when I was making silica nanoparticles with this stuff, I have a hot plate that goes up to, at least from what I've read, from the IR thermometer. I just used a one of those um, IR infrared um, thermometers used to check if people are sick, if they have a fever, that is. And the hot plate looks like it goes up to about 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Um, the thing is, though, uh, so my coworker, he has a microscope at home. Oh, I'm pretty sure I got chemicals on the table. Maybe I should be putting it right on the edge there. But a lot of these nanoparticles, so my coworker looked at them under his microscope, and I think they're roughly 400 nanometers. So that's probably barely within the resolution range of the microscope. The thing is, though, I think a lot of the nanoparticles are conjoining together. So ideally, I would filter those out. I do have a filter that I ordered off of Amazon that has, I believe, a 40 micrometer, excuse me, 4 micrometer pore size. And so, for those of you who don't know, a micrometer is 1,000 times larger than a nanometer. So I'd imagine that probably should filter out most of the nanoparticle aggregates. As a disclaimer, I wouldn't necessarily suggest trying this at home, at least the sodium silicate. I mean, if you're a professional chemist, you probably actually have a better idea of what you're doing than even I do. I'm not admittedly the best at chemistry. I think that's common amongst biologists. So, in my experience, a lot of biologists are bad at chemistry, and a lot of chemists are bad at biology. And as far as the chemists go, I kind of suspect that biological reactions have a tendency of breaking typical chemistry rules, if you will. I mean, just as an example, and I mean, this isn't the best example, but um, supposedly there is quantum entanglement within chloroplasts in plants. Um, I just realized you can't really see what I'm doing. How long has that been going on for? Really, I'm just kind of focusing on this instead of looking at the screen. Let me just finish this one and maybe I can just stretch upwards for the last one. I have a feeling this stream is going to be a little bit iffy in terms of technical quality. I I got a chunk of piece of the cheese missing. Let me try just holding it in my hand. I think part of the reason I might not be the best at chemistry Maybe it's because I feel like I was missing something in terms of the fundamentals. I mean, they didn't really talk much, I don't think, about how the electrons behave, or necessarily even how groups of atoms, basically specific types of groups, behaved. Oh, wait, my camera stopped. There we go. It's got to be my moving the cord or something. Well, maybe I'll just have to keep that in mind for next time. Don't know when another hand stream might be. Let me just coat this a little bit more. All right. Ah, let me get up. Yeah, I'm getting rid of these gloves. I should be back in a moment. Let me go get my hydrochloric acid. Oh, forgot to cover up my sodium silicate. I forgot to put the lid back on. Ah, and I realized a second ago I actually need some gloves, so hang on a sec, let me see if I can go get somebody to get me some. Um, never mind. Sorry, I just got them myself. My dad was already upstairs. And can I get this thing to focus? There we go. And I didn't really want my mom getting gloves since she is she has the plague. Okay, so I got my cup of hydrochloric acid. It's 1 molar, so it should have a pH of 1. I got a couple of plastic containers to put the cheese in. Am I going to need more? Better not spill this. I need to be careful. Hold it with 2 hands. I don't like how flimsy this is. If necessary, I can just I have a large container, relatively large anyway, of hydrochloric acid upstairs. I'm in my basement right now. So I have another container up here. Should probably be wearing my goggles. I forgot to put them on. Okay, so this one down here, that fits 1 slice. Then I have another one up there that should fit maybe 3. All right. Now let me see if I can take these gloves off without. You know, I can just get some more. So the last step I have decontamination. So this is a UV light, and so my idea is that I'll shine the light on the cheese, and hopefully that'll decontaminate, get rid of any microbes on the cheese, kill them. And I might have to do this again after everything is finished. So, just give it a minute for each cheese. And when I say a minute, that isn't a precise measurement. I probably need to flip them all over, but I think I might just do that later. Okay, move on to this one. So I do hope that people find this at least novel. Get those two over there. If nothing else, I suppose this works as a chemistry lesson. So feel free to contact me if you're at all interested. I You can find my Twitter on the channel. You can comment, do whatever, really. Okay, there's one over there. Also, when you're using UV like this, you should try and keep your eyes safe. I think I might close my eyes now, actually. I don't know if it's showing up on my model. Maybe in the future. Okay, there's some over here off screen. Hopefully I can come up with a better setup than this. Alright. So if you want to repeat this experiment, you're free to do so, of course. You have the information. Granted, I don't know if this would necessarily be something you would want to do anytime soon, given that Valentine's Day is coming up soon, and I won't have the results in until later. Or probably too late for you to use them. But on that note, I hope anybody who has seen this found it at least amusing or interesting, and you have a good rest of the day. All right, bye.